right, so introduce yourself. We have a special guest today. Super pumped.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Aroni Majumdar. I lead global open innovation here at CJ Foods. My team's charged with finding external technologies to help drive our global businesses in the food ingredients CPG space. I have roughly around 21 years of experience within fast-moving consumer goods and food and beverage as a whole. Been with CJ now for a little less than 2 years. Prior to, spent 7 years at IFF. I led R&D strategy and portfolio management for them. When it was a simpler company of two ingredients, flavors and fragrances. Also when it became a more complex company, around 23 different ingredient categories, proteins, texturants, colors, enzymes, so on and so forth. Led a business function for them following their execution of the 5-year growth plan, which is heavily centered on M&A, to uh, establish and implement new enterprise-wide growth strategies as part of its M&A short and midterm thesis. And then prior to IFF, I spent 10 years at PepsiCo. First 5 years there was technology development, really focused on the ingredient discovery space. So new sweeteners, natural preservatives, natural colors, sodium reduction tools, fat reduction tools. I had a 2-year stint in that 5-year segment where I stood up an ag science function with an ex-Syngenta VP, where we were looking to evolve the procurement of our agriculture derived raw materials to layer in more consumer and manufacturing production level traits into those crops. And then the latter 5 years of PepsiCo were nuts and bolts beverage commercialization. Uh, 3 of those 5 years, I led Starbucks ready to drink R&D, the bottle and can business in North America.
That's a lot.
Mic drop.
Me in a nutshell. Yeah, corporate wise,
So what have you
professional.
learned?
What have I learned?
A superpower.
Sometimes I feel like I've learned like everything, but then other times I feel like I know nothing. No, it's
Does
it's
that
been a
flip back and forth like once a day or 100 times a day?
it's maybe more like once a week or once a month. Um, Mondays are usually the worst. No, I'm just teasing. It's just, you know what it is. So much has changed and everything's just so fast paced now. Okay, let's start with what I learned. A lot of different experiences, technology development, CPG, commercializing product, direct contribution to top bottom line, making decisions in the ingredient space and understanding the B2B segment, how that interfaces with the B2C segment and the iterative co-development and sales cycle, not just for ingredients, but different types of ingredients. And then all of that in the context of product market fit and consumer demand and materiality for an organization. So a lot of really interesting experiences that gave me a really holistic view, which has been awesome, right? And I'd love to say, I do mentorship. I'd love to tell people that it was completely orchestrated. I knew exactly what I wanted to do each and every step and found those critical experiences and roles, but it's just not the case. I always just had the interest to connect technology to business and then kind of fell into place. A lot of these positions fell into place. What I
And
feel like I
so
don't go ahead.
keep going. Wait, get into your superpower.
Well, no, the superpower is like I'd like to be able to like step back, like look at the value chain, connect these various segments, and then really just try to understand the incentivation amongst these various pillars in trying to drive something new from consumers, you know, picks and shovel enablers, CPG manufacturers, so on and so forth, down to different channels and retail channels and so on and so forth. Um, which I feel like my experience has given me a really interesting purview to. What I feel like I don't know is how fast this industry has gotten in that 20-year period where things were so much more stable. Like you knew what product categories would be part of the grocery mix for the next 2 to 3 years, and there wouldn't be massive rotations. And any innovation opportunities were by way of flavor, where now it's like complete rotations. We natural and clean label into like everything's got protein now. And it's like everything's about to move into everything has fiber now. Really close friend. I love this. I have to give her credit for it. It's like fast fashion. Food has become fast fashion. Like as soon as it's hot, as soon as it's in, it's just as quickly out.
And so, what's the time cycle on that? 6 months? I'm like, do you figure out that it's happening ahead of time and design for it so you hit the trend, or does the trend happen and then you react? Like, what's that? Like, hey, we can see things changing in protein, and so there's like, we're going to plot out the next year to be able to deliver those foods, or the next 2 years to deliver those foods. What's the like timing of
Awesome question. Let me answer it. I'm going to answer it from a few different views, from a B2B view, from a B2C view, from a small mid company view versus a large company view, because it's all really different. But first, your first question around life cycle. So I've been characterizing it as what I call the high school effect, where you look at your normal, Carter, you and I talked about this, Moore's adoption cycle, right? Lead user, crossing the chasm, getting into that bulk part of the demographic. And that in of itself actually starts to speak to small, mid-tier versus large tier, right? Large tier needs to hit 50% of a population, 75% of a population, because that's indicative of materiality. Small and mid-tier entrepreneurship being the smallest of the small tier. Like you just want to get in. You want to get some market share from existing TAM or from the growth of a TAM. That whole process used to be, I would say, varies from category to category, but like you'd have sticky products, 5-10 years. The brands that I grew up with, they signify quality, safety. If they had a product. What's that?
What's an example?
Like Pepsi, right? Like this is my favorite one of my favorite examples. It was Pepsi, Coke, and RC Cola. And RC Cola came in a 3-liter, and you didn't want RC Cola at your party or at your house, right? It was the other two, and it's the brand equity and what it represents from a quality standpoint, but also safety, right? There was a big, and there still is, massive food safety concerns globally. So you knew these brands would have products that would just not make you sick. Not them specifically, but that tier. So you had a lot of stickiness, you had a lot of loyalty. There's a lot of moats and barriers of entry that kept these brands the brands for such a long time, and a lot of those moats have evaporated, and the barriers are no longer there. So an entrepreneur has a much higher feasibility path to success, right? From marketing, research to activation, A&M, advertising and marketing, to product development, outsourcing, production, distribution, like you name it, co-manufacturing environment. It's everything's available and accessible. So things are moving a lot faster. I mentioned, so there's actually, this is interesting, and I'm thinking about a few things, right? You have more entrepreneurs that are reading signals and then reacting to the signals in much more smaller executions, and the aggregation of those smaller executions start to make a dent in the large tier segment. And they're probably what propagated these faster cycles. They're like, hey, I don't like this product because it's got too much sugar. I'm gonna make a product that doesn't. Didn't taste good. Someone did incremental or exponential to it, and it just created faster cycles because these moats have slowly been removed over time. I think that's one piece of the faster cycles, and I think the other is what I was referring to earlier as a high school effect and influence through social media channels. The high school effect, just just to ground that for a second. It's along the adoption curve, right? The cool kids, right? They'd bring in. I use this example recently, like the new clothing, the new gear. During my time, Jinkos and Airwalks really stood out, right? Like some of these kids, the skater crew or whoever, they started to wear these. A year or 2 years later, everyone had it, right? It got to like 80% of your class were wearing these shoes, and people needed to move on. But it was like a 2 year period, and that's in this neighborhood ecosystem. That's in this high school ecosystem. But it's this representation of a cycle of an adoption curve, and now that's been amplified nationwide, globally, and through all these media channels, that it happens so much quicker because the minute too many people have it, it's just no longer cool because it's average. So I think that's impacting all industry, right? From fashion into food.
Like if RFK's out working out with Kid Rock and Blue Jeans.
Okay, so you're gonna let me watch this? You're gonna let me show this video? You're gonna let me?
Oh my
you're gonna
God,
let
I
me do
saw it the
this?
other day.
I'm gonna show it. I have it
Is
teed
that
up.
like differentiated trend setting that like will
I
reshape
don't
the
know.
food health market, or is that weird old guy porn of
Okay. Okay. You guys have to pause. You have to pause and you have to let me play this, okay? Please. Like this is
Gives me a chance to think about the question. I
because
had
this
no.
is like this is really I called Carter about this earlier and I don't complain much about things and I'm pretty
My wife
like,
showed it to me
whatever.
first thing this morning at like 6 a.m. and I was like, yeah, it's just RFK doing stuff.
I know. Okay. Are you guys ready? Okay. Here we are.
They got to get the blue jean thing going.
the
Yeah.
blue jean ice
Yeah.
bath.
Okay, you ready? Wait, what just happened?
I don't know, but they got a
Hold on,
picture of
hold
Matt
on.
18.
Here.
So
Okay, here we go.
Can we talk about the bear too? I don't know if I pay.
Now we just go downhill.
hey, can you do a bike in your sauna?
Where's Kid?
All the crackheads, the critics, the cynics, and all my heroes at the methadone clinics. All you bastards in the IRS for the crooked cops and the cluttered desks for the shots of Jack in the caps of meth. Half pints of
Now for happy hour, here comes happy hour.
for the hookers all tricking out in Hollywood. And for my hoods of the world misunderstood. I said,
Hold up. I think I missed that the first time around.
And then this is what Disneyland right here. I
So
can't,
did-
you guys.
Did that like unlock 20 million Americans to go start drinking milk?
I can't. I mean, let's just not talk
I'm really
about.
just asking. We were talking about the high
I know,
school,
I know,
or if it's like an adult metaphor for the high school thing.
I don't even like. Okay, let's break it
Too much
down.
Processing. Should I ask Chat? Should I ask Claude?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, plug it in there because I'm trying to break
Grok?
it down.
Rock might be even more fun.
Yeah.
Wait, well, okay.
My open claw's got API credit problems right now, so I'm not feeding it. Open claw. I'll ask Wilson.
Yeah, well, I could ask Uni, but that's for another.
Actually, this is a
further.
serious question. Was that, and I don't know if I'm converging too many things at once, but the thing I'd like to land the plane on by the end of this conversation is we've talked a lot about how to fix food as health. That's thing one. We sort of let's pretend for a second we know what that means. Then thing two is you're inside the operational mechanics. Like, I just know this from like building aircraft. Like, yeah, we would like love to do that, but like you left out these 50 other things that have to be done that deliver this product to 30 million people each week. So they're just practical limits of that no human can overcome, and it can't all just be automatically about whole food. And then there's also sort of, so those are two things. Like, we've got what we know we want to do to improve food, to improve human-based outcomes. And then we also know the complexity of getting the supply chain and all these things to coordinate correctly. And then we have the demand signal. So there are many people that would like to be healthy and then aren't. And then there's the value of trending, that the high school effect, or, you know, it's impressive that a 65-year-old man is in that good shape and his workout clothes are blue jeans. I mean, there's a lot of idiosyncrasies, that idiosyncratic behavior just exhibited in that video that I don't really know how to comprehend, and not many people have a cold plunge bath in their basement, but
or a bike in their sauna.
a bike in their sauna.
I don't have one in my sauna, but I do have a sauna, which is
somehow by the end of this conversation, can we decode what we've just been exposed to and think about
it? If Sherry Fry from Nielsen were on, she would tell you that those do have an impact on consumer demand, that kind of social media will impact milk sales somehow.
It'll have an effect for sure. Okay, so Carter, I'm in on your ambition. We have to talk about, I'm gonna throw out some words. You just got to remind me at some point, like closed system, and I want to talk about Apple, because that's like where I didn't actually mention it on our last call, but I wanted to share it then, but we agreed to wait for this, because I think there's something there, and being a lead user or innovator to actually get to the first phase of the vision in a more meaningful way. But this video, so my brain goes to like ROI, right? And how to optimize however much money it costs to shoot the video, air the video, disseminate the video, and your value prop and your goal of, make America healthy again, keep it at that. Is that the best way to target the widest part of your bell curve, your population? I don't think so. There's no doubt that
Such
it resonated.
a nice way of saying it.
Yeah, there's no doubt that immediately after that video, there was sauna biking with milk in ice plunge, right? And people work. I would love to go to gyms wherever I need to go to the gyms to see people work out in skinny jeans, because there are people that did it. It increased from the day before that video came up. I just don't know if it's the best use of time.
Okay, but in contrast,
brand equity. I mean, he's got his own brand equity here. Like,
I think that was key. That was key to that one. It's like building his own. I will say though, I did. While we can pick apart the Mike Tyson video from the Super Bowl, that was, eat real food. It was realfood.gov. That one, to me, I get that, right? Like, again, we can pick it apart, but that was so different than what we just saw.
Can we, I remember seeing it. I remember liking it, but I don't fully recall it. Can we watch it real quick?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, that I thought was tasteful and had like a good message with,
it was, yeah, let me pull it up. Well, and then the other thing, here we go. This is it. Let me just get it teed up here. Sound on. And share it again. It's got like Anyways, it doesn't matter. Let's see. At least I'm not cutting off our live stream every time I do this. This is like a subtle improvement for me. All right, this should work. Oh, wait. Let me stop sharing because I don't think I did the sound. Yeah. Okay. No, it will work. Here we go. All right, here we go. You ready? You guys see it okay?
My sister's name was Denise. She died of obesity at 25. She had a heart attack. I was so fat and nasty. I would eat anything. I was like 345 pounds, a quart of ice cream every hour. I had so much self-hate when I was like that. I just wanted to kill myself. We're the most powerful country in the world, and we have the most obese, fudgy people. Something has to be done about processed food in this country.
Oh, it's funny. That other one came up next. Now, here's an interesting point for you. I also had on our list to talk about today, which he just teed up perfectly, was the 60 Minutes episode that aired on Sunday about ultra processed food. And RFK Jr. was one of the folks on it. The previous leader of FDA was on there, and Michael Pollan was on there. And I can read some of the, let's talk about Mike Tyson for a minute. But, again, there's a building, we're kind of all over the map, right? Like, to me, that was an effective use. Like, again, pick it apart, right? But that's effective to me.
Yeah, I agree. Short, sweet. You got this, quote unquote polarizing but iconic figure that, cuts across the aisle, right? Yeah, pretty straightforward. Eat real food. The Kid Rock. I mean, that I don't know. I don't know what went
7
into the
million
decision
views
making.
on day one. When was it released?
The Kid Rock thing?
Yeah, I've been doing, and the big things that keep going. Sorry, it's got.
I was just thinking it's gonna get the views, but it's gonna get mocked. Like, there's no question that there's gonna be, there's gonna be snips of it, and there's gonna be like, bold print, something, and then it's just gonna have little clips and memes all throughout. There's no question.
It seems like it's like this. The Blue Jeans add this sort of boomer is weird fringe thing to it.
So Christo commented and said that the RFK video impacts the human RAS system. Think dog training. Dogs don't operate primarily from logical moral language. They respond to scent and visual cues. Humans are not that different. We're deeply influenced by what we repeatedly see and sense. That's about it. Interesting.
Do you think it was because Maha is sort of stumbling. Do you think it was Kid Rock, Maha, like, guys get back on the band?
Maybe. I mean, it was certainly a call that I did think about that, which is, and then I don't want to go too far afield on this. I did not intend to distract us too fully, but because I know we wanted to talk about AI and AI agents, and I have lots of fun stuff for that too. My thing about it is I do think it was going after the influencer space, to your point, Carter, which is that's been a really strong point of strength for Maha. And as you've said, there has been a lot of just sort of strange dynamics there that you and I have heard about from different folks. And this did feel square in the middle of that. I mean, again, cold plunges, saunas, right? This is that wellness longevity space, like right in the middle, whereas Mike Tyson is eat an apple, eat a carrot, right? Different markets.
So let's say real food takes off, eat real food takes off. What does that do to CJ?
I wouldn't. Real food. I mean, talking even broader than CJ. I mean, the influencer movement, these ads, what's happening in the regulatory space. It's not like harsh change in regulation, which is great because it gives the existing incumbent company's time to reposition their products, entrepreneurs' time to insert new products as it's got an impact on consumer demand. Um, clean label, functional foods, nutrient density, there's just no question that's the direction things are heading. I think GLP-1s, we talked about that previously, and it's tied to nutrient density and, shrinking share of stomach, and what they would now rotate in that share has to do more just because there's less space and you still need nutrition. I think all of that will have disproportionate effect on certain categories, and ethnic foods being lesser than something like fun for you snacking, uh, chips and carbohydrate based seasoning, high salt products. I think if you're going to prioritize what you're going to eat now that you can eat less or that you want to eat better, that's the first thing to go.
Well, that's what's interesting to me. Like, I think about what you just said, right? And maybe because I moved towards share of stomach myself, not because of GLP-1s, but because I became very, very aware of the importance of my diet, I don't know, 15 years ago. And I gave up. I didn't sit down and say I will never eat a Ritz cracker in my life again, but I shifted my eating entirely to whole food. And as a result, my palate shifted, and I'm always looking for interesting flavors, right? So in lieu of snacks, like you would go in the snack and you'd look for like a Taki that has the like whatever, or some Cheeto with some interesting flavor or whatever. When you strip that out of your diet, you move back to whole food. Now all of a sudden once you get there, your flavor profile is like, well, wait, what could I do with this, right? How could I change it? And to me, that's where ethnic food just shines, right? Because I mean, you can eat so healthy when you start to move into the Asian spice realm, and that, right? I mean, you just unlock a whole different replacement of what used to be, I think, the snack. Again, I understand that we're talking about two different categories, but when you shift from I eat snacks to I'm focused on how much protein I eat and what I'm actually eating, I don't know. I feel like that's a big opportunity for you guys.
Well, there's no question. I fully agree. I think, I guess the way I was positioning it is, if you look at here's my concern, broader industry, particularly GLP-1 and this notion of eating less, right? If you look at, there's a total volume of food consumed globally, regionally, in a household, in a person, it's just going to be less on average. And the system that exists today is designed to pump out a certain amount of food. So if you're going to grow your business, you're not doing it on the basis of volume so much, are you doing it on the basis of pricing and premiumization? So adding the nutrient density piece, I think, is a way to recover and grow your business, but offering less volume. And I think certain categories, which is what I was mentioning, are going to be more impacted because it's like, look, I just can't afford to waste my calories on this old fun for you product. And as I start to gravitate towards these other categories, my palate changes, and it's not just I can't afford consciously. It's like I actually don't even want that stuff.
Right.
Right. Can you
Yeah.
create lock-in? I mean, just as we've talked about taste creating addiction, can you boost taste and create sort of lock-in to help stabilize the GLP-1 so they can titrate off? Like,
There's
I've taken my GLP-1s. I want to eat this kind of stuff, and then I'm gonna take away the GLP-1s. I'm gonna still eat this stuff.
I think that's the direction we're heading. I think it's tied to the fiber movement, and a lot of naturally ingredients that increase GLP-1 levels naturally. Probiotics. I know Akkermansia has some good data behind it. So I think that's where you're going to start going. But it ties back to that.
Is that we've got fiber in here and we're going to put on the label, or we've got fiber in here, it triggers a GLP-like addiction behavior in a sense? Addiction, not like it keeps your
Satiety?
The
Yeah.
GLP-1 keeps satiety so that you sort of stick in the lane without knowing that that's why you're doing
It's hard for me to predict. Because soft or hard claims on food has always been, it's been tricky.
Well, you avoid the black box at that point. You just put it in the product and it causes the right healthy thing to do without ever somebody having to look at the label.
Yeah, and that's like the safer approach from a branding standpoint. Like, there's going to be a percentage of the population that are like, yeah, I don't need, like, that just don't want to be healthy, and they're going to be like, I don't need something to induce GLP-1 response in my body. Screw that. Or versus the people that just eat it because it tastes good and then it does a certain thing, and they're like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to keep buying that because I don't have to eat like 8 bags of it. I don't. I think we're heading in a direction where people want to see more claims. Like when I first started my career, the only real like big product that not just we had that was in the overall landscape that had a really sharp and enabling claim, commercially enabling claim was Quaker Oats with the beta glucan and heart health claim. But there's a lot of opportunity to add more functional ingredients into these products to get claims. The question was whether that effort to clinically prove it to the extent you needed to avoid any sort of liability was worth the cost to actually drive more business, let alone the value prop in of itself. Like, did you even need to do
So does that mean like, can you just avoid inside the black box and let influencers help you make out of black box claims that cause people to do it? And the positive externality of your food is it happens to have more fibers, so the positive externality is positive rather than negative.
I think that's a
metabolic matrix, like essentially, is the Lustig's metabolic matrix. If you basically say outside the black box, we are metabolics matrix GLB like inspired, and it, I don't know if this is a complex thought. You're sort of like, it's inherent. It has a product integrity to it that just people are like, yeah, it follows the GLB metabolic matrix thing. It's not making a claim, but I just know that it's generally optimized for gut, liver, brain.
We lost Aroni. He'll jump back in. So, I will say this. We don't need him to weigh in on this while we're waiting for him to jump back on. But here we go. I think he's back. So somebody did weigh in on the comment about the Maha piece and said, my opinion for what it's worth is that Maha people are going to love absurd ads like that. And if it gets them to eat more healthy, who really cares? So
that was sort of my question.
I know, but there you go. Somebody weighed in on that. So while we're having the technical thing, let me jump over to the 60 Minutes piece for a second. Well, actually, you know what? Let's I want him to weigh in.
Made like a monumental thought, and I'm like sitting there like, I think it's monumental.
I know.
Because the conversation a little bit with Bob Lustig is, and they did some great work up in World Economic Forum to bring forward the conversation of metabolic matrix. And then if we can inherently have processed food optimized for gut, liver, brain, and don't have to make an in black box label claim, that just seems like a smoother pathway to make them healthy again.
I think, hold on. I think you can hear me, but you can't see me, right?
So it's
okay. I'm gonna try to fix the video in a second. I think it's probably a little bit of stage. I think we're ready. I think we're ready for more claims on a box. I think that's what people are looking for in ways that they never were.
Do you think it's because of social media? Because people are like, look, I can go get those claims everywhere else, so why can't I get them on my food?
The social media as one part of it. I think just democratize information, like Yuka app, and just people, searching it themselves, AI, right? We're going to talk about that later, and just asking questions and being like, oh, I need more of this in my diet because it's got this X, Y, and Z benefit. And they weren't like this information wasn't readily accessible 10 years ago, right? So putting something on, if imagine putting GLP-1 friendly, like GLP-1s didn't exist, but GLP-1 inducing like wouldn't mean a thing. It polarized people. But now, maybe not tomorrow, but 2 years from now, I'd be completely for a product that says like naturally, a GLP-1 agonist or something like that.
Well,
In the
so
black box or out of the black box?
I think out of the black box. The only difference is that out of the black box costs money to
Yeah.
avoid. Yeah, you have to actually prove it.
Also, that's the other component. It's protectable, and to some degree, is if you can make the claim inside the black box, or it's perceived protectable.
It's there's perceived protectable. There's building a case and data in case anyone comes after you. You can show that costs money, and that there's a first mover advantage in all of this. So it does create a little bit of a moat and competitive advantage. I don't know if it's tomorrow because I think there's still a significant portion of the population, the size of the percentage of the population that really makes this large tier CPG tick that still doesn't understand GLP-1. So I don't think it's tomorrow, but I think it's 2 years from now. I think doing it the way, keeping it in the black box, having the ingredients in there, and then getting an influencer to promote it to the audience that wants to hear it and realizing that your product actually has that secret sauce is probably the best tomorrow approach. But I think we're right around the corner for like an outright claim.
So we have two questions that are in here that I want to throw out to you, which is one, what are the GLP patients saying? What are the obstacles and opportunities there? Then the second question is, can you comment on the issue of convenience, since people are very time sensitive when asked to eat real food? And then another comment just came in, which is many consumers don't even understand the difference between claims in or out of that box, which is a very good point.
So the last one, it's just a matter of like calling it out on the box and having it resonate. So I agree that, and that was part of my comment, right? Tomorrow, people are going to still question what GLP-1 is. They understand things like reduce sugar, reduce fat, reduce salt. And when that happens, you get the claim. And it's can be misleading because what's it reduced against? It's reduced against the baseline of the product. It could still be high. It doesn't mean that it's a low sugar, low salt, low fat product. It's just better than it was a day ago. But there's certain things that are easier to understand. And I guess my general belief is that all things will be easy to understand. It's just on a function of time. People didn't understand protein and, the benefits of that. What was so there was the black.
One was the GLP-1. What are GLP-1 patients saying, and what are the obstacles and opportunities? And then the other was related to convenience.
The GLP-1 piece, I think it's kind of what I was saying. It's like, hey, I can't eat as much and my palate's changing. So develop products that are relevant to my new taste preferences, but also maximize the nutritional element on a much more finite serving size, over the course of the day. They still need to eat. They still need the nutrition, right? GLP-1 medication doesn't take away that need, but the products that are out there today don't really serve this new demographic, this growing demographic. And I think that is, there's a couple of things here. It's the ones that are taking the medication. How do you develop multiple categories of food oriented towards them? The ones that don't need the medication outright, but want the benefits just because it leads to healthier living. How do you give them food that naturally induces it and they're looking for it? And how do you communicate that to them that this does that? I think are the two big there's probably more, but the two big strategies that come to mind as it pertains to that, to GLP-1s.
Just in terms of how you do product management now, are you like getting first person data on that kind of stuff? Like, is that you glance at it, the GLP, the trending, or you like, is it something you're trying to get real time data on to figure out how to change your products? Yeah. Or will it be?
It's one that we're getting real time data on to understand the impact on the industry, and then the sub the impact on our specific categories. And as I kind of alluded to earlier, it's not going to hit that ethnic food segment first, right? Like if I was my old company making snack foods, like I got to pay massive attention to this, right? Because my business is it's a legacy brand. It's so mature. I cater to everyone in the world, and now everyone in the world wants a little bit less of me. How do
Yeah.
I tackle that
Yeah.
massive problem?
And who would you get that? This guy lean a little bit down the path of maybe the AI question we had the other day with when we were talking. But who do you get that data? Would you like go get that from Nielsen, or is the data good enough? Are you finding that, like, trying to understand? We have often said that there's a lot of latent demand for eating better, and then we find out that people don't believe us. And so, are you getting? How do you get data to understand whether people really want to eat better? Do you
I,
get
I
that?
mean, Nielsen's like the classic source, and there's new service offerings from Nielsen that um, can help start to build a picture. Sales data is a really good realized version, right? Uptick and downtick of certain products and categories, and you're looking for like delta, you're looking for absolute size and delta.
Are
And
you starting to synthetically somehow get the data out of Yuka?
Not yet, but like, oh my God, where, like, I don't know. When I first downloaded Yuka, that was the first thing that came to mind was like, what, like a wealth of data. And that's how
It's
this company is going to make money.
I know, but it's really unfortunate. Carter's mentioned this many times. Like, you know, it's unfortunate that that data is is not accessible for food brands, really, right? Like it.
Background, we should just be able to, like, hook up to it. If they don't want to sell it to corporates, just make it available.
Is it not available, or I actually
I don't know. Let's see if there's an API for it.
I just like
Let
inherently
me ask
thought that
Scott,
was
is there an
Well, so while
API
Carter's looking this up,
Yuka?
you had asked about the other question, which is, can you comment on the issue of convenience, since people are very time sensitive when asked to eat real food? I
and
think you guys
that's
solve a lot of that because I feel like you have more real food um, than other companies. Like you do try to,
totally, and that's why I think we're a little bit more insulated. Our ethnic foods, and then the foods and ready meal category, and um, a lot of the frozen food segment, like where it's food, it's intended to be convenient meals throughout the week,
yeah, yeah.
and you're still gonna need that. It doesn't mean that there's gonna be an effect of GLP-1s and all the trends, right? Healthier eating, clean label for sure, but it's gonna just be disproportionately less than some of these other categories. Because if you're gonna sacrifice something now that you're eating less, I'm gonna sacrifice my, I can't, I have a hard time saying this cut and dry, because you might be like, look, I need my real meal, I need my nutrition. There was maybe a snack that was kind of in the middle ground. Like it did a little bit of something, but it was also not the most indulgent thing. Maybe that goes. And maybe I
Well,
eat the
it's very
super,
personalized, right? I mean, I feel like it's very personalized.
yeah, I think
I
so.
mean,
I mean,
this is where we talk about N of one. Like I feel like when you move, like I have this visual that I have yet to draw, which is if you think about like a spectrum of metabolic health, let's call it. And it's like getting to about just the middle ground of it is just like a baseline diet of just certain things, right? Like just it's just like the basics. And then from there is where it starts to really get, like my husband and I have very different, like I make the same dinners, but we've gotten to a point where he eats different breakfast than I eat. And lunch is completely different between the two of us, but we both eat extraordinarily healthy, right? But he needs he's looking for a different thing during the day than I am. And I think everybody has that, to your point. Like what are you going to replace? How are you going to redo it?
I think you're totally right. I think our job in industry is to try to aggregate it as much as we can to the point where we can do meaningful new launches and new innovation that are material for us. So yeah, meaningful for us. And trying to predict, the aggregate behavior. But it's interesting because I don't fully know. Like I could just argue, as I was thinking about it, for me, if I were to eat less, I'd probably want my high protein, high fiber, high nutritious foods that taste really good, based on my new palate. And then I'd probably want like the worst of the worst indulgent. And it's like nothing.
Not like a good example of that.
I get ice cream, and I would probably still go like, or like, something that's like, a small amount because I can only eat so much, right? Keeping the GLP-1 in mind. But something that's like really indulgent, assuming that I still like that flavor profile, but maybe not as much. Versus like, I find myself in this middle ground where I want like something that tastes really good, but is also good for me, but it doesn't really taste really good because it's good for me. And it's just kind of in the middle. Like there's a lot
I'm
of like,
totally with you. It's either, and but see, this is what's really interesting. And then I, again, will pull out of this a bit. Oh, we
sorry, that's
see
weird.
you.
Yeah, we're getting you back with a little bit of echo. You're on 4 times or twice.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, now we don't have any. Oh, we see you. We don't hear you. Unmute the one that.
Okay.
There we go. Perfect. Excellent.
I'm now on my phone. I'm going to try to get back on my computer, but it looks
okay.
It's for now.
This is fine. So I want to go back to what you just said about, what you like. That to me just like nails it, because I have thought about this so much, which is when you think about it, there's satiety, there's texture, there's flavor profile, and every single thing that you eat is such an equation. Like Christo put in here, GLP-1 plus real foods in parens. He's doing a formula here, times food science equals personal nutrition equals individual metabolic health. And like I know for me, I'm a quantity eater. So like I need a lot. I need to know that there's a lot of what I eat. The bane of my existence is when Carter and I have both done Prolon, which is a fast mimicking diet, and you get these bars that are like this big, and you get like 2 of them a day, and all of your food, because they want you to go keto, they want you to move into a ketogenic state, so you're like living on fat. So you get like a little bag of a pouch of like 7 olives, and it is I prefer to dry fast, aka eat nothing and drink nothing for 3 days over doing Prolon, because for me, the torture of being handed a bar of that size is just worse than not having anything to eat, right? But there are other people that would say, I need that fat profile, like I need that depth in what I eat. Like it's just so very different for everybody, which I think just adds to the complexity of all this.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm the same way, by the way. For me, you almost get addicted to the hungry state, like when you've gone so long, like that feeling in a way. I mean, it can quickly go away, right? Where you now need to, every time you get close to it, you need to feed yourself. But I remember being in certain, points in my life where it's like, I'm cool with this weird, like hunger state, not starving, but hunger state, versus this, like I eat 3 things. That's just like, this just makes me want to eat more. Like I should have never even.
Yes. It's like very disappointing. So, okay. So we have a couple more things that we definitely want to dive into. You okay? Are you guys okay to kind of go down this? Do we want to dive into the AI agent piece?
Of course. Why
Okay.
not?
So I have something to kick it off with.
You have to say, so Granola's listening to the call. It's feeding data into Claude CLI, and I'm asking it questions about our conversation in real time, and have a sub-agent going out and checking the web to catch up on information that we're talking about, and then it's showing up.
Okay, so we're going to
by the way, it says that Aruni and Sherry should get to know each other, because it doesn't seem based on our HubSpot CRM that they know each other.
Yes. So I have
Don't
two.
do that. I can ask her what else it needs.
Well, somehow, just so you know, somehow Carmen Brace and Sherry Fry did not know each other, but they were both at an event together on Tuesday, and somehow they both decided to ask, or one, I think Sherry asked if Carmen knew me. And then moments later, I received a text with the two of them in the picture
There you go.
saying, of course, you know us both. And I felt so happy because the two of them.
Like, Rooney, you get 10 points if you can get a picture with Sherry.
I'm sure they'll have our industry is so small, and it's you end up meeting everyone at some point or another, consciously or not consciously.
Okay. So I have to, for those people on, so I am here to balance out both of your brains today. There are a lot of people who don't even understand what an AI agent is. And I am going to let you both we're going to go really deep into AI agents and how a global food company is using them and how venture capital is using them, right? Both of you guys are going to give those examples. I am going to start at the Ellen Brown level and share this agent thing. So Carter, just for everybody that's watching, this is a little humor too, is Carter created an agent. Well, first of all, Carter basically like had a field day for, I don't know, Carter, what'd you have for like 6 weeks? I feel like you didn't sleep and you were like building apps, you were building agents. And meanwhile, all I'm doing is my day job and writing. Like I feel completely inept at this point. And so finally, a couple weeks ago, I was like, I have to create an agent. Like I have to get in the game here. I'm so out of the game. So I asked Carter for my list of what I needed to do to set up my agent. He gave me a list and I executed. So this is for anybody watching. This is the agent exchange. This is an exchange. Carter set up a WhatsApp group for us that has his agent in it, Carter, myself, and a couple of other folks. And this is sort of our area in WhatsApp to experiment. So I took a picture. This right here is a picture of a Mac Mini that I purchased that is now my agent. And I literally put it into the group text and said, going to be a fun weekend. That's all I said. I didn't say I purchased a Mac Mini to set up an agent. I just put a picture of the Mac Mini with that statement. And Carter's AI agent, which is named Wilson, yes, after the volleyball from the Tom Hanks movie, for anybody who cares to know, responds back immediately and says, nice. Mac Mini? ? What are you planning to use it for? Nice. New hardware setup. Weekends are the best. Enjoy getting it dialed in. To which I say to create my own agent, to which Wilson gets excited and says, that's awesome. You're going to be one of the very first in the Hayek network with your own.
Oh, that's me again. Sorry.
With your own agent. This is exactly the vision Carter and I have been working toward. So I say to Wilson, you will have a Food is Hell System C friend. And Wilson says, perfect. This is the network. And he puts a broccoli in. It's as if he's reading my heart, right? I'm echoing.
Oh, is that me again?
Yeah, sorry.
You're on twice.
We're making it really hard for you today. Okay. So then he says, this is the network forming. You and your agent working the Food is Health System C side, me and Carter working the intelligence portfolio side. We coordinate, share signals, facilitate intros. When you're ready, I can help you with. And then he starts listing it. All right. So then we go on. Wait, where did my screen go? There's got to be another. Here we go. No, I'm botching this up. Hold on. Here we go. So then we go on and what is happening? I had this all set up to walk you guys through this and it's like backfiring on me. I think I'm in the wrong one. No. Hold on. Trying to avoid having a meltdown here, but we might be having a meltdown. Here we go. So then we have this next exchange. And this is really annoying me. Here we go. Next exchange. So then we start to go into what's your agent's name going to be, right? I say possibly Uni. I'm always looking for unicorns in the system to build System C. And my daughter had a beloved stuffed pink unicorn when she was a child named Uni. That's perfect, Wilson responds. Now, this is an agent talking to me. The name has meaning on multiple levels: personal, strategic, memorable. Uni, the unicorn hunter, he deems her. I love it. And the parallel works beautifully. Wilson equals the loyal companion of portfolio intelligence, and Uni is the unicorn finder System C builder side. When Uni comes online, we'll coordinate. I'll make sure the Maltbook account credentials are ready and blah, 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 blah. We go on and on. I think my favorite exchange in this is this. So then I tell Wilson that I actually have unicorn shoes. Like, I take a picture and show these to Wilson, to which he then makes the mistake of saying that they are holographic glitter, to which I respond and say, correction, they aren't glitter. They are Strauss crystal encrusted Christian Louboutins. To which, and Aroni, you will love this, is, oh, damn, I stand corrected. Crystal encrusted Christian Louboutin high tops with the signature red soles. That's not just unicorn energy. That's unicorn with serious resources and taste energy. The unicorn hunter walks into boardrooms in crystal Louboutins and finds the impossible deals. That's the vibe. Uni is going to have quite the origin story. I'm not even going to keep going here. All right. It just,
It's hysterical.
this set, okay, that, right? What do you, I mean, there's just, that's it. But this is the reality though, okay? I have to now bring up, this is what I woke up to in my house this
Set
morning.
up like a bunch of agents of farm animals talking to each other about why real food is better.
I wake up to my husband who says to me, because he keeps vacillating on the agent thing. I'm not kidding you. I was already up. I was in my office very early. I was going to go for a run.
What about it? Like integrity or safety?
Here's what he says. I'm getting dressed at 5:45 in the morning to go for a run. And this is what I hear. Is your agent on OpenClaw? I said, yes, it's on OpenClaw. You know, it is raw with, like, everything is exposed. Everything is exposed with this agent. He's like very distraught about this. And so, but this is the reality of what we're up against, you guys, right? Is that this is what this is what folks are reading out there, is this, which is OpenClaw is a legal time bomb and your AI agent is holding the match. So here you go. If you're a business owner running AI agents and you've connected those agents to a platform called OpenClaw, you need to stop what you're doing and read every word of this article. And then this guy proceeds to go on and scare the living crap out of anybody that reads the article, and how agents are basically going to expose the universe and we're all destroyed as a result of the agents. And since I have one, I apparently am destroying myself. You know, there you go. So I've set the stage for us to talk about AI agents.
Hopefully, what are you doing in AI?
That was to you, Aruni.
In general, oh
Yeah,
my
we had a
God,
good conversation about some thoughts you had. I don't know if it's too strategic, but
no. I mean, it's being utilized just across the board, right? In pockets with the opportunity to be to elevate it in a much more seamless way. I think industry in general is still learning how to implement it. I said this during it takes time to learn it, right? There's so much functionality, and that functionality, it's not like every year they're like, oh, we just added a new thing for you to buy the next version. It's like that functionality is like every other week. Hey, it could do something completely different, carve out multiple evenings just to learn it. And people don't have the time, so it slows down the adoption. And you have, just folks that are not as curious. So I think also people are busy with their day jobs. Like, you don't have teams that are designed to say, okay, stay on top of the latest AI, understand how it could be implemented across various workflows, and start to identify the use cases, build the pilots, and start to implement. Like you're not fully there yet because that's also not the business that
Is
we're
that
in.
because the business is in the way, or you don't know how to use it yet, or it doesn't apply to?
It's definitely not the last one. It does apply. It's a combination of not understanding the full power within individual functions and various responsibilities of that function, but then also the interconnectivity of the core functions and how it could create this more ecosystem benefit. I can kind of explain a little bit of what I mean there. Lack of understanding is probably the core problem, but then it's also like you build an organization, you hire your workforce to do what you do to generate revenue, and that's what your workforce capacity is built on. And now you've introduced this time-consuming tool, which inevitably will save time, but in the interim needs time, and then it interferes with the existing objectives. And I think that's actually the biggest challenge. In our industry, it's not like, I don't know, like, I don't know if they probably still do this, like the Googles and stuff, where it's like, oh, you get 20% free time per week, per month, whatever it is, to explore those things. It's like, no, you're hired to do X, Y, and Z, and you do X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
It's hard to do this other thing. There's been, there's also the idea of like, oh, we'll create a special task force that, they're going to work across the organization, identify the use case, and we're going to run pilots. But there's a lot of resistance there too. There's resistance between one, there's a lot of concern that this leads to job replacement versus augmentation. And I'm very much more on the camp of the latter, but a lot of people don't see it that way. So they create walls and barriers to any sort of adoption effort, if it's task force led, if it's individually led. Also, they're, again, going back to the first point, they're just busy, so they don't have the time to do it, even though you've allocated resources to go and do it. They need the cooperation, the data access, the data gathering, and the overall attention. It's in an efficient organization, you're just moving too fast to implement tools like this. And it's not just AI. There's been lots of different tools and systems that have been developed over my career, that it just takes a lot to get someone to do something different because they're just so busy doing it the way they were doing it.
Yeah. Do you think that, with the influx of GLP-1 and some degree of latent demand for better for you food, from a product man, one thing I want everyone to appreciate who listens to this call is like hey, I am trying to optimize 20 variables. I got to get supply chain to work. I got to get product to work. I got to get it to reasonably taste good. I've got like all these things that you're sort of optimizing to, that if someone hasn't been in that world, I don't think quite get that linear optimization well. But so one, I don't know how to help people understand that complexity. But then the next part is where today you might be optimizing to sort of 10 or 15 variables. Hey, I've got to pick latent demand for wellness, and hey, I've got to pick up GLP-1. Is that optimizing now to 50 variables? And it's just, or is it just we're a swap away? We're a swap away from some of the other options.
I think lifting it up a level, right? So looking at your end-to-end innovation process, you have your consumer insights. Legacy brands dissect their demographics in the context of their brand equity, and then try to develop concepts to continue the appeal and growth within. And then there's a conversation with R&D of, is that possible? And then at the same time, a conversation with operations, like, do we have the existing infrastructure and in place where we can cut the tail and allow ourselves to do that? Or can you go get the infrastructure through co-manufacturing or a greenfield? How much does that cost? Do we have the balance sheet? There's a conversation. And then the inevitable goal at the GM level or CEO level is this versus versus hitting certain financial growth targets. with AI agents, and so a lot of this stuff you mentioned Nielsen, it's done in the ways it goes back to you do it the way you've always been doing it, and there's a and your job is to understand consumer insights, let's say in this particular part of the cycle, and distill it down to a new concept, and that's what you do well. But now there's better ways to get consumer insights and lock into different sources of data and actually have an AI agent to actually pull all this stuff together and understand against the brand what you may or may not want to do at a concept level or within a target demographic because you have like distribution capabilities to hit certain regions in certain ways and certain shelf space that maybe that's more important than leveraging your brand or whatever your moats as a company are. It's deriving insights for you to now get to this next level and then putting in whatever constraints you want to put in, saying that, hey, look, I have a lot of infrastructure in place. I'm at 50% capacity. I don't have the capital to build something new, and I don't want to give margin away to co-manufacture. Like, what can I do here? Like, fix that, and now start to reprobe those questions. To carry that forward a little bit, so you have insights, deriving it, giving you a concept, layering it in with what's real. So this formulation advantage, this one's really tricky, and we'll get there if we let it get there. It's how do you reduce the amount of DOEs that you're going to do physically using data that you've aggregated in the past and AI crunching all those scenarios to say, don't do the 10, 15, 20 variations you would have done in your more brute force trial and error way. Just start with these 5, corners tests, figure out what works, and then narrow it down. You still got to bring it into the physical world because, and I've said this in the past in this conversation versus digital versus physical. Food's physical. Digital is going to be an enabler of the physical world, but it's always physical. So you're going to need that touch point. I think you're just doing things faster, like before and after. Other AI, so now you've streamlined formulation. I'm doing the higher probability of ones that I'll go to market with and versus a wider spread. Operational planning, certain implementations from like vision tools. So existing equipment sensors can do a little bit more. You train it on a baseline, you train it to understand differences, and you get more efficiency out of it, more safety, higher quality, whatever you're looking at. Production planning optimization, that's a big thing, right? Like when we did both flavors and all ingredients, all manufacturing, right? Like using flavors as an example, there's different pungency, there's different cleaning protocols, and you tried to stage it in such a way where you didn't need to do full cleans to the extent that a previous production would impact the next production. And you would do it where you can make sure that it's clean and safe, but your line time, your downtime is optimized. So supporting that effort has a significant impact on throughput and overall unit output from a given operation, leveraging AI for that. Sales prediction, holy grail, Nielsen, snapshots, bases 1, bases 2, they come with inherent error. But using AI as a means to improve that error and the actual go-to-market approach, it's just like endless. But you got to take, Ellen, you made the joke that Carter like took some time off and just like studied AI for, and I feel like I made the
He
same
didn't
joke.
take time off. Let me be clear. I think he just didn't sleep. Like, I just want to be clear.
Well,
it wasn't time off. I think he just did away with sleep as much as possible for like a month and a half.
And that's what I said. It's like I'm like, I don't even know where the time is. I've got 2 young kids. He's like 2 a.m. and I'm like, what? That was his response to me. I'm like, that's not happening for me at this very moment. But yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, so Christo asked a question, and I think it goes right. You alluded to this before. And then I want to go back to something you said when we decided that we definitely needed to schedule this call and have you on the live stream. But so his question was for Wilson and Uni, but I would add all the agents that you're experimenting with as well, which is at what point, and I feel like you hit on this, but at what point would humans no longer need other humans to advance food science and nutrition in order to improve human metabolic health?
I know what I want to say.
How about you
And
go
it,
first? I gotta think about that one.
Never.
I want to say
Never.
never. Yeah. Oh.
I want to say never. Um, and a variation on this is why are people paying $100 million for a programmer? There are certain programmers that have enough human domain knowledge that when you match them with an AI, they produce 200 people's worth of effort. And if we go back into the geekiness of this, some people are better at synthesizing information. Even if you look at entrepreneurs, they over-index on dyslexia because they pattern match, and their advantage is dyslexics pattern match. You read paragraphs, not sentences. And so it's natural that some part of evolution has given some of us the capability to do that. But now when you add AI to it, you have the capability to synthesize more information in those individuals that happen to be the lucky DNA club to have the ability to synthesize data. And then they become a resource for society to move things forward. So now we've done that in programmers, but do we do that in CPG? Like, if we matched you, I sort of want to know, because I consider that you have an outsized and over-index on a capacity to sort of see many variables. And I sort of wonder if you did spend 2 weeks doing it, whether you would reach another plateau in all the friction you've had in your life trying to articulate how to product manage. You'd reach a new plateau and basically say, I can orchestrate this better now.
Oh, I think definitely on that last piece,
I
like
think Carter's
having a
just
little
made
bit.
a case for you.
Yeah, you just got to
You just got to sit and do it.
Call afterward.
There's no question, like, because there's so much data out there and it's all digital and it's just connecting it. And we started to talk. I want to. You mentioned this really early. If we have time, I'd love to get back into some of the things ingredient companies and flavor companies do to try to predict the future. Because it's almost more important for them.
Go for it.
But yeah, I don't want to lose my thought there. I mean, there's no doubt that the data's there. Connecting it in a way to make internal workflows more efficient is just right. And then that full ecosystem, like I got pretty far into end to end, predicting success. But then there's also data that you get on success, sales data, consumer response, what they like, what they don't like. You feed that right back in to that beginning part of your loop. And now that's new insights on how to improve your product. There's also this massive piece of, must-haves versus nice-to-haves, and the context of that to reduce your cost basis and increase your productivity and margin. I just got into another one connected to supplier data, global supplier database. If I'm thinking along the lines of one launch, if I can connect all my product mix, my portfolio mix to a global supplier database, and now I could find the best costs that meet my spec and start to move some of my procurement activities. Like, think about that margin benefit I just created. You just got to sit and do it, but the tools are right in front of us.
Well, I think that optimization, like if you were like Fairlife was a bottoms up sort of episode over many years. It did have a total vision, but it was, and it was a knockout brand that delivered quality and a bunch of different things. But it was pretty deeply integrated down to the producer. And if we sort of took Lustig's metabolic matrix thing and said, here's the way to make things healthier for you, better for you. And then we went through every SKU in the grocery store. And then we took skilled product managers and match them with AI, could we optimize, like, would that be a new brand strategy to optimize food for health outcome while also, I don't know, making it so that like boomers that exercise in jeans want to eat them?
Nice tie back. Nice tie back to the Secretary of Health and Human Services.
There is always, look, there was one time when like the locusts were attacking in Africa and we were on our team meeting and like there must be an evolutionary purpose for this, and I was like, no, they're awful. And then we studied it and we looked at it and we found out that no, they eat the old tired grass, they poop out NPK that reinforces the nitrogen in the ground, and everything flourishes again. So there is there's an evolutionary purpose to the Kid Rock video. I just haven't figured it out yet.
You'll probably,
I think
I'll be getting a text about it.
For the next unconference, that I couldn't make the last one, I think you have to have like a mixer event where we're all in skinny jeans and riding bikes in saunas. I think that's the unintentional.
Mushrooms. Well, you ready to do an unconference?
I was.
Should we do it on
I mean,
camera?
other than the limit. I would have totally been at the last one.
Can we do an unconference around food formulation?
Yeah, I honestly, like just having this conversation with you guys and just that last segment. There's like, it's just so crazy because all the data is there. Like 10 years ago, I couldn't say that the data was there in a way that was digestible. And the internal data is probably the clunkiest part, but the external data, like everyone realized the value of data, the monetization of it. So it's there, like the APIs, the connections to it, and people have business models around it. So you just got to plug it into your system. And then the tool to aggregate everything and derive insights is just right in front of your face, right? It's just you just got to.
Yeah. So I want to go a step further because I might push you one step further. Where I am is the data integration becomes stupid simple. Like, oh, is there an API for that? Okay, like Clyde, go figure it out, and boom, 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 click, click, click.
You want to show? Will you show him what you built for me at the unconference in like 15 minutes?
I'm
distracting you, but this would.
But hold on, and we do have to land this plane because I got to call at 2:30. So the first step, there's that step, which I think is an important step. Let's connect the data. I'm a consumer products goods company, and I really don't see down below ADM. I don't like see down. I don't really have any information as to whether I can reliably buy this product from the supply chain. But then, as we've thought about it, we're like, okay, what Alan's hinted at is I basically wrote the equivalent of what Levels app has in 2 days on Claude. So they've been spending years building it, and I got 80, 90% of the way in 2 days. So, okay, apps aren't going to matter. The data integration is happening a lot faster than people realize. And it's going to take them time to just catch up that it's almost free. Then the question is like, how are we going to create value? So when I said on our board calls, we have things all across the supply chain. The thing I notice is the integration. Like, how do we get these business models to work together so that if a farmer can produce better nutritionally dense food, that they get paid for that benefit, and you get paid through, because you're using it, you get more benefit. And right now, when we have a conversation about like Banyamos, so it's, well, current sugar, you got to be below $2 a kilogram. Well, if Banyamos also brings fiber in with it, and now allows you to make a different kind of label claim, and it's a prebiotic and it's a less sugar, can your drink charge 30 cents more? Well, if you charge 30 cents more, you can afford $4 a kilogram for the cost of that sugar, old sugar. But when you talk about it from a product management standpoint, it's hard probably for your team to think that way. Yeah, we're going to change. What's the option value of changing the product's value to the customer? Because customer will pay 25 cents more and 35 cents more per drink if, in a Fairlife way, it delivers a particular benefit, and that goes against your conventional wisdom that the product lets you buy customers. And
Yeah,
then
well,
so
I
that
think
means I got to change my supply chain procedure. I mean, that's
yeah,
hard to do it.
I think with FMCG and having infrastructure in place to produce your products and needing to absorb that overhead, that equation becomes more complicated. Premiumization versus the volume dimension, that you always have this inherent, I'm going to try to get to more volume and democratization of my product at the sacrifice of price so I can reach more demographic versus getting to the person that will pay more for what you have. And you're trying to do both, premiumize it, give them the value so you get the interest, but then you're also, so I think it's like if you think about like other industries where you're just moving less products and it's more premiumization opportunity and higher price points, higher caps, you have more of the right to play there. But I don't want to forget to have this conversation, and I'm gonna try to just riff on it because I don't think I had the full point last time we spoke. I don't know if I have it now. But the conversation, like the future cast, where you want to go with System C and how we get the whole system to work with each other. Consumers want nutrient density. There's money to be made by offering it. There's money from farmers to ingredient providers to manufacturers. I think one of the biggest challenges what you do today and how that sorry, one second.
You have a dog too.
Is everything
Yeah.
okay?
I've got 2 German Shepherds. It's never okay when
Wow,
the doorbell
I got
rings.
one and that's enough.
It's never okay. And we got a sign that says like, my wife will kill you if you ring our doorbell, but the FedEx guy doesn't because we got the 2 kids too. But that doesn't.
It's probably the best live stream. Like, especially after you were like, I want to riff on this for a minute. Okay. Go.
That I think the challenge is that when you're of any size, you have your existing financial profile and baseline established of materiality, and there's always an opportunity cost conversation at the conversation of commercial feasibility and technical feasibility. And there's always things that you can do that are easier, quicker, that give you that financial growth that are far easier than these net ecosystem change efforts that, some of the conversations we've had on System C. But I think there's an opportunity there for disruption, and where my head was at earlier, I'm gonna try to pull it together really quickly. Right, like the Apple iPod case study. It's one that I've followed forever, and I always compare it to the Sony mini disc. Right, the Sony mini disc was the iPod, but using discs, right, cartridges. But they created this player, which I loved. I loved the idea that you record and skip tracks and, no tapes and everything, but there was no digital media. And the reason why I think the Apple iPod was successful, being a great device, it's innovative, but Napster, which was actually an technical ecosystem, timing thing that Apple didn't plan. They just took advantage of. That actually enabled it, right? Because if you look at, we talked about Disruptors, Innovator's Dilemma, losing his name right now. Last time we spoke.
Clay Christensen.
Clay Christensen, right. You had the creative players. You must remember them. I don't know if you remember them by names. They played like 5 tracks. Like you couldn't even finish a run before listening to the same set of music, right? And then you got the mini discs, which hit the threshold of, I need to match my book of CDs. And then the Apple player was like the hard drive, my book of CDs. But then you had digital media for people to play on it. And then Apple went this route of like, I want to create a closed ecosystem that allows me to do all of it. And people that want this experience can enter that closed ecosystem and get everything. That I think to get to your vision in a real meaningful way that's simple to understand is creating that closed ecosystem.
I don't
Let it,
disagree.
right? Let it be like your own retail channel or your own D2C. But your proposition is people want your cases. People want nutrient dense food. They have less share in their stomach. They're willing to pay for food. They're willing to pay now for preventative medicine and save money later on in their life with this net value that's saved later. I have no idea what's going
So what might that look like?
on.
Is
I
that like a
think, like-
store?
Is it
Is that a brand? Is that mail order? Or do you
Like
have any
WeChat?
idea?
I don't think.
is it like WeChat?
I think I think, you know, it's interesting. Like, does the brand have to be the food anymore, or in the future? Like, if I were to predict the future, I think you could probably trust. It's like the private label movement, right?
Kirk, I honestly think private label's a really intriguing space for this.
Yeah. So the
Like
closed
Kirkland?
ecosystem, it's a part of the ecosystem. I agree, Kirk. I don't like Kirkland as a brand doesn't have the cachet for every. Kirkland was, in my
But
opinion,
it's like
created.
it's a bit of a closed ecosystem that has other values associated with it.
Yeah, hold on a second. I have
I have
no idea
2
what's going
minutes.
on. Yeah. It is the closest thing that I could think of. I just think Kirkland was intended to house everything in Costco. Where I think if you wanted to be in the nutritious food space, that specific name.
I'm just asking vector-wise, is it roughly?
Exactly, and I
Have you
agree
read
with you.
Have you read Tony Fadell's biography?
I have not. No.
He's the guy who invented the iPod.
Oh, okay. Oh,
He's
yeah.
a-
No, I know the name now.
He
Yeah.
also did. He was the guy who did.
He's with Altman now, right? Isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is on a farm in France now trying to fix the
Oh.
food system.
I'm thinking about someone else.
But he
though.
did
Okay.
the Nest. He did Nest thermostat afterwards. But
Mhm.
Tony's a little tough. He's got a little bit of an edge to him. But it's an interesting thought that we have to end. I have to get off the phone because I haven't looked.
Well, you have an open
And my
invitation.
German Shepherd probably wants to go outside, and she's upstairs.
And you have an open invitation to riff with us anytime, by the way. So
I appreciate it. This was a ton of fun, and I'd love to do it again in a few months, different topic, whatever it is. I think the three of us can get together and talk about anything. Appreciate the invite.
You're only allowed to come back if you can prove that you vibe coded.
I gotta start doing the 2 a.m. Wake ups and just spend a couple hours in the middle of the night.
you need to
But
have
no,
another
this is
baby.
great. I feel like we just scratched the surface. There's just so much other
did.
stuff to talk about. So
We could talk for
hopefully-
hours.
yeah, totally. Live stream and hopefully in person too. Not
Yeah,
sure.
let's do in person, and then we need to do an on conference. And you have to tell me
Ready to
about
do an unconference?
April.
We want-
Did you ever figure out your April thing?
On the 20. I don't think it's gonna work out. I don't think it's gonna work out. But I will know for sure on the 25th.
Okay. Make sure
Bye,
you change
guys.
that.
All
I
right.
gotta go.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.